Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 12th biology students, and this is for 14th December 2020. And as I promised you, we are revising the entire syllabus, a revision also done, and now I would like to train you for the A and R questions, assertion and reasoning questions. Last time we talked about the biodiversity, assertion and reasoning. If you remember, recollect from your memory, I had given 15 questions training with answers. Now this time I am going to give you in the next chapter organisms and populations. So here we go. First, directions, all of you know, that is if answer is A, only if both assertion and reason are true and reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. And if your answer is B, if both assertion and reason are true but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. And if your answer is C, then if assertion is true but reason is false. And if both assertion and reason are false, then you have to opt for D. So this is the background. Now here we go, the questions. Assertion. Question number 1. Prolonged intra-specific competition causes an increase in the size of a niche of a population. And the reason? In such a population, use of new type of resource will increase through the generations. And what is the answer for this? Answer will be A. For question number 1, answer is A. What is the why answer A? Prolonged intraspecific competition causes an increase in the size of the niche of a population. A population at its carrying capacity does not have enough of the limiting resources to go around, and any individual who makes use of a new type of resource will experience less competition and so be able to produce more offsprings. Use of the new resource will increase through the generations and the niche thus will become larger. That is the explanation. Question number 2. Assertion. The community of an ecotone commonly contains the organisms of each of the overlapping communities, and in addition the organisms which are restricted to the ecotone. That is assertion. Reason. The tendency for increased variety and density at community junctions is known as the edge effect. And the answer, question number 2, is B. Why B? An ecotone is a transition zone between two or more diverse communities, as for example between forest and grassland. It is a junction zone which may have considerable linear extent but is narrower than the adjoining communities' areas themselves. The ecotonal community commonly contains many of the organisms of each of the overlapping communities, and in addition organisms which are characteristic of and often restricted to the ecotone. Often both the number of species and the population density of some of these species are greater in the ecotone than in the communities flanking it. The tendency for increased variety and density at community junctions is known as the edge effect. Now we go to question number 3. Assertion. Stomata generally open in light and close in dark. Reason. Transpiration is enhanced by heating effect of light. And the answer will be question 3, B. Why B? Of course you know it, that both the assertion and reason are true, but reason has no linkage with the assertion. That's the reason why it is B. And question number 4, assertion. The aquatic organisms in which the osmotic concentration and temperature of body change according to the ambient conditions of water are referred to as conformers. And the reason? Aquatic organisms are able to maintain homeostasis through thermoregulation and osmoregulation by physiological and behavioral means. So question number 4, answer is C. Why C? The aquatic organisms in which the osmotic concentration and temperature of body change according to ambient conditions of water are called conformers. About 99% of animals and nearly all plants are included in the category of conformers, which do not have a mechanism to maintain a constant internal body environment, that is homeostasis. Their body temperature change with the surrounding temperature. Hence, the answer is C. Assertion is true, but reason is false. Now question number 5. Question number 5. Small sized animals are rarely found in polar regions. Small sized animals are rarely found in polar regions. Reason? Small sized animals have larger surface area relative to their volume, and they have to spend much energy to generate body heat through metabolism. So I think it should be A. A. Next, question number 6. Assertion. At high altitude, a person from plain areas may experience altitude sickness. Reason. At high altitudes, atmospheric pressure is generally high, leading to symptoms like nausea, fatigue, etc. So answer, it has to be C. Why C? At high altitude, a person may experience altitude sickness. Its symptoms include nausea, fatigue, and heart palpitations. It is due to the low atmospheric pressure of high altitudes that the body does not get enough oxygen. That is the reason why it is C. Now question 7. Bell-shaped age pyramid represents a stable population. Remember we drew the pyramids? Reason. In stable population, proportion of individuals in reproductive age group is higher than the individuals in pre-reproductive age group. Here the technical one is reproductive age group. That's why the answer has to be C. 7. Why C? In a bell-shaped age pyramid, the number of pre-reproductive and reproductive individuals is almost equal. Post-reproductive individuals are comparatively very few. It represents a stable population. Next, question 8. Now question 8. Assertion. The rate at which a population can be expected to grow in the future can be assessed graphically by means of population pyramid. And reason, a triangular population pyramid is characteristic of a country whose population is stable, neither growing nor shrinking. Now, question 8, answer should be C, as you expect. The state at which a population can grow, it can be expected to grow in the future can be assessed graphically by means of a population pyramid. In general, rectangular pyramids are characteristic of countries whose populations are stable. Their numbers neither growing nor shrinking. A triangular pyramid is characteristic of a country that will exhibit rapid future growth as most of its populations has not yet entered the childbearing years. inverted triangles are characteristic of populations that are shrinking. So it depends upon three factors: pre-reproductive, reproductive, post-reproductive. Based on these numbers, the pyramid's shape will be decided. Question number 9. Assertion. A population growing in a habitat with limited resources shows initially a lag phase, followed by phases of acceleration and deceleration or deceleration, and finally as asymptone when the population density reaches the carrying capacity. Reason: in virtual Pearl logistic growth curve, plot of n, that is n is equal to population density, at a time t results in a sigmoid curve. So 9 has to be B. What is B? If both assertion and reason are true, but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Now the reason that we are giving is nowhere related to the assertion. Now question number 10. Assertion. Predators maintain species diversity. Predators maintain species diversity. Reason: predators reduce the intensity of competition among competing prey species. So this must be A. Why A? Predation is an interaction between members of two species in which members of one species capture, kill, and eat members of other species. The former are called predators, while the latter are termed as prey. Predators also help in maintaining prey population under control by reducing the intensity of competition among competing prey species. That's why answer is A. Question number 11. Assertion. Elimination of a competitively inferior species is closely related, or otherwise similar group is known as competitive exclusion principle. Reason: if two species compete for the same resources, they could avoid competition by choosing different times for feeding or different foraging patterns. So question 11 answer is B. Why B? Gauss competitive exclusion principle. Remember, Gauss competitive exclusion principle states that two closely related species competing for the same resources cannot coexist indefinitely, obviously, and the competitively inferior one is eliminated eventually, survival of the fittest. This may be true if resources are limiting, but not otherwise. So mechanism of resource partitioning states that if two species compete for the same resource, they could avoid competition by choosing, for instance, different times for feeding or different foraging patterns. So answer is B. Question 12. Assertion. External parasitism is generally marked by much more extreme specialization than internal parasitism. Reason: the structure of an internal parasite is usually very complex, possessing suckers, reproductive organs. So answer has to be D. Answer is D. Why D? Both assertion and reason are false. Internal parasitism is generally marked by much more extreme specialization than external parasitism, as shown by many protists and invertebrate parasites that infect human beings. The more closely the life of the parasite is linked with that of its host, the more its morphology and behavior are likely to have been modified. During the course of its evolution, conditions within the body of an organism are different from those encountered outside and are apt to be much more constant. Consequently, the structure of an internal parasite is often simplified and unnecessary structures are lost as it evolves. That's why question number 12 is D. Question number 13. Question number 13. That is, the epiphytes use the trees only for attachment and manufacture their own food by photosynthesis. Reason: commensalism results in negative effects on the growth and survival of one or both of the populations. So the answer has to be C. That is, assertion is true but reason is false. Epiphytes, epi means upon, phytes means plants. Epiphytes which grow on the branches and in the forks of some trees cite an example of commensalism. Commensalism is a type of positive interaction, as all of you know, in which two organisms of different species live together without any physiological dependence between them, and one gets the benefit from the association while the other is neither benefited nor harmed. We wrote plus and zero, remember? That is commensalism. Now question number 14. Assertion: mycorrhiza represent a mutually beneficial interspecific interaction of fungi with the roots of higher plants. Good, all of us know that. Reason: in a mutualistic relationship, both the organisms enter into some sort of physiological exchange. So you know the answer has to be, obviously it has to be B. 14. Mycorrhiza refer to symbiotic association of fungal hyphae with roots of higher plants. All of us know. In this association, the two symbionts are in close contact and are physiologically interdependent on each other. Mycorrhiza increases the ability of the plant to extract minerals from the soil. In return, fungi are provided with shelter and products of photosynthesis by the plant. Plants having such associations show the other benefits also, such as resistance to root-borne pathogens, tolerance to salinity and drought, and an overall increase in plant growth and development. Hence, answer is B. Come to the last question, question number 15, and plant assertion. Plant-animal interactions do not generally involve co-evolution of mutual organisms, and the reason: evolution of plants and animals can never go side by side. Oh my god. So the answer has to be D. Plant-animal interactions often involve co-evolution of the mutualists. That is, the evolution of the flower and its pollinator are closely linked with each other. This is because plants need the help of animals for pollination and pollinating their flowers and dispersing their seeds. Animals get rewards in the form of pollen and nectar for pollinators and juicy and nutritious fruits for seed dispersal. Hence, the answer has to be D. So this is how you need to train yourself for assertion and reasoning. Remember, in your board exam, there will be 4 marks for assertion and reasoning. So as I promised you, every day we'll have this sort of training for all the chapters, and after that we'll go for the MCQ. Until then, keep on getting trained and study well.